Toodles.
Right, this week's guest has got a big up Alex Banks, aka Hypron Experience, aka Easy Rollers. How you doing, Alex?
I'm just fine, Martin. How you doing, boy?
Not too bad. Let's kick off with some questions. What music was you growing up like? What inspired you when you was growing up, like music wise?
That first electro stand that came out of America, that was amazing. Like people like Tick and Tock dancing to that Cool Runnings tunes, Man Parish, Johnson Crew, all that lot. That's the first thing I heard, and I just thought, wow, that's what music should be, and I got involved.
It's you know what? It's so, I say this all the time because every artist I've had on it always go back to the electro, because I think it was the hottest thing that we had. Going through the 70s, we had like all the punk and the ska and this and that. But I think with the electro, it was a new breed that was just coming into the country.
Wasn't it? And it was so different. That use of technology in music, that was what excited me, because there hadn't been those sounds before. And to stutter vocals or to play samples in a melody was like mind-blowing. It hadn't happened, and this was super duper expensive equipment like Fairlights, which cost more than a house, and so to hear these sounds coming on, it was just so exciting. And vocoders and drum machines and this whole new sound which came, it just hit me at the right time. And and everywhere you went, I mean, I grew up in a place called Beckenham, and everywhere you went around there, from Penge down to Deptford and Lewisham and Bromley, everyone everywhere was playing electro, and it's just alive.
It's I'm going to say, if it wasn't for Kraftwerk and Bambaataa taking that thing, because a lot of people are savvy on that side of it, but if it wasn't for Kraftwerk, would that have come into it? Because they had a heavy influence.
Without a doubt. I mean, so when the technology first came along and people started to integrate it, they tried lots of different things. It wasn't just Kraftwerk and the Yellow Magic Orchestra. It went back to what the radiophonic orchestra at BBC were doing with sound effects and such like. And it was these sounds that were exciting. It ultimately led to the sort of 4/4 sound of Kraftwerk and some of the more esoteric stuff, which I can't remember what it is now. But yes, it was as soon as the technology was available, people started messing with it and abusing it and coming up with different sounds, and it was all new. And it was there were a number of discrete steps between going back to the first oscillators, which went for the radiophonic, and that French lot, the Office of Radio and Television Français, they did a lot of stuff. That's great. But along with this electro, it became refined into the breakbeaty sound, which was actually happening at a similar time. That albums like Wildstar, people were dancing to those beats, and the electro happened very similar time, a little while before. But the two came together, and then of course split up again. 4/4 went into the loft parties in New York and Detroit, and then they came back together for the rave scene, which is where I came.
And this is where I'm going to go on to it. So, what made you get into production?
Well, I was doing production from the moment I found music back in sort of '83. I mean, because it just made sense when I saw people breakdancing, graffiti, doing beatbox, rapping, and making beats. That was all I wanted to do. It was like, well, I can't, it's like, I don't know, shedding my skin, coming from the moth to the butterfly. That's what I wanted. It was like a revelation. And they all came hand in hand. And I tried the rapping, and I tried the beatbox, and I tried the music and the dancing, hence the T-shirt. In fact, when I moved up here, I won a few competitions breakdancing, but that's another story. And then, so the music, it came hand in hand when I found music, or music found me, this electro hip hop sound. I just started making the music.
So what was your, did you make stuff prior to Hypron Experience?
I'd made a lot of music. So Hypron Experience came, we were sort of 1990, and I found music in '83. So I was making music all through the late 80s.
Right.
I was using 4 tracks, and I had a Mark I Technics, which had a rotary pitch control. That was weird. And I would speed up things, and I had a Casio RZ1 drum machine, which had 4 sample pads, and a Casio SK5 sampling keyboard. And I would make up beats and do mega mixes, you know, like Steinsky and Mass Media, what he was doing.
Yeah.
I was doing stuff like that. I was recreating what I already had in different ways and trying to muck around with it with samples. I did that for quite a while.
So did you release any of that gear?
No, it was awful. Not only was it awful, it was awful. I took it to Zoom in Camden. Around, I had an album done in about 1987, 88. I can't remember. And I took it down there, and well, they just laughed at it pretty much. And you know, it was soul destroying, but it didn't stop me. So it was bad. I have actually found, when I was looking for all the Hyperon stuff for the Nightfalls compilation at the beginning of this year, I did come across that tape, and it was painful to listen to. It really was. So yes, I was making music, refining it, and it wasn't until Hyperon that we started doing stuff that was worth releasing.
So, you know, I've got, we're going to go into Hyperon experience now, because I've got, you obviously, Fun the Family, Monica. I don't want to say Monica the Glen, but I want to say
Fun for all the family, keep it in the family, Death in the family, and the family we never had.
So you know, Fun for the Family, that EP is, when you think an EP can't get no better, and then you bring out Lords of the Knoll Lines, was just like, I've got goose pimples on my arms from that tune.
Yeah,
because I think it's the voodoo, as everyone calls it, and if people don't know what I'm going on about, the voodoo magic tune.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I think it was a game changer.
Thank you.
A major game changer, because not only was it a good film, the sample just is sat there. Everything on that EP was just like ridiculous. Then even like the 10 inches, the Randall mix, the Ray Keith mix, you know, it just went on, didn't it?
On and on, mate. I must have been about more, at least 16, 18 remixes, I don't know. And of course now everyone's had another go at it. So there must be at least 30 legit remixes, half a dozen or a dozen or more illegal ones.
Right. So I take it Fun for the Family was the first EP to come out on
the first one, yeah.
What made you sign to Moving Shadow?
So it was actually Jay from JMJ and Richie. He was part of our clique, you see, and he had sent Rob our demo, and we hadn't sent anyone any of it. And that's what happened. We went from just making tunes in what was my landlady's outhouse shed thing, which was awful. We went from that to being signed to Shadow, but they was very much starting up Shadow. We were like one of the first. I think us and Mixed Race were the first people on there that weren't directly related to Rob or was working with Rob.
Right.
I think I might be talking nonsense, but you know, it was beginning. It's not Moving Shadow isn't the behemoth that we now know, this legend. It was a beginning thing. And Jay was getting the promos, you see, and he thought this is a label that would probably put out Hyperon stuff. And he said, put together a tape. I'll send it to this label. They seem pretty up for it. And we had about maybe 9 or 10 tunes done. And we sent this tape to Rob Playford, and we went down to see him, and we signed to Shadow.
I mean, look, mate, I think we got to big up Rob Playford, because Moving Shadow is. You know, I think he taught Goldie a lot. You know, I know them two are quite good friends, but when I looked at the back catalogue of that the other day, and I was just like, mate, he done the right thing. There was a lot of artists on there, a hell of a lot of artists
on Shadow. Without doubt, mate. So many legendary tunes, and each legendary tune was the potential of the tune was maximised. You know, he really did know how to promote and how to manage, you know, a musical product.
Very, very. it sounds like he was a very, very good businessman as well as like obviously creating a label and pushing stuff as well. But I should imagine if you've got the right people behind you and you're pushing that, they're going to push it for you as well.
Without a doubt, mate. It was so good and so well organised. I wish you could have seen. Did you ever go to the Shadow offices in Soho?
No.
Well, mate, put it this way: they had 2 floors in the heart of Soho, in a well-recognised studio called the Trident Studio, which had this like bespoke acoustics and a massive. Like, this was insanely huge. There was like 6 or 7 office staff and promo. It was just insane. It was like, wow, this is another level. This isn't someone doing something out of their bedroom. This is global. And yeah, so it was good to have that facility at hand. You know, and it's worked really well all through my career.
So you know, like all those EPs, you know, they're really like I can't. I'm lost for words. I start when I'm lost for words because I can't explain them. They're that good. So guys, if you're watching, you're listening, go and check out on YouTube Hype on the Experience. Like some of these tracks are just like, not some of them, most of them are legendary anyway. So it's gonna push forward for a bit, and then we're gonna go back to saying Alex. Easy Rollers.
Yeah,
I know this story, but I want you to tell the story how it got into Lock Stock.
Oh, Lock Stock. Well, let's have a look. I mean, there's 2 stories. Let's tell the truth. So the truth is, oh God, it actually goes on and on and on. Now, we wrote the tune. It was for Storm from the East, and what Jay sat there one day and says, "Do you know what, Al? We could do a compilation album of just people from East Anglia." And we said to Rob, "Can we do this?" And he went, "Yeah, here's your budget and here's your deadline." And so we all made tunes, and we did Walk This Land was done for that album. And it was actually cobbled together out of bits we had knocking around from a tune that we did before Rolled Into One and Believe. It was just spare bits of programming, and that da 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 da. That's what we had. And I wrote the bass line on the Juno 6, and we just moved on, gave it to Kelly. Now what happened is that they shot the film Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Guy Ritchie, and the guy who edited the film was a guy called Matt Reed. Now I met Matt Reed, and he told me that it was him and Guy Ritchie that put the tune in the film. They were originally going to use Prodigy, Breathe, but Prodigy wanted proper coin, like 80k, 100k, something like that, which is fair enough. You know, they're a big act. And because this whole film was shot on a budget, they were like, well, we ain't got that. And apparently it was this major hurdle in the whole film. What do we do? What do we do? And then Guy Ritchie, everyone had thrown tunes on the table, and Guy Ritchie just came and goes, I've got the tune, recut the film, we're doing it to this. And he did it to Walk This Land. Mad, isn't it? I sat next to the guy in a pub. I sat next to the guy in a bar on the coast of India, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I do film editing and stuff like that." I said, "Oh, did you?" He went, "Yeah, I did that film Lock, Stock." I said, "Oh, did you?" I had a tune in there. He goes, "Which one was it?" I went, "Oh, Walk This Land." He went, "No way, I edited the scene." So I met this guy in a bar in India. Ha! Can you believe that?
No, I mean, I do believe it, mate. It's a funny world. It must have been because that was a major film, English film, and to have a tune in that, you must have thought, "Whoa, you know, it can't get much bigger than that."
Well, it was good. So what happened was we were already a big fish in a small pond in the drum and bass scene. We'd had Rolled Into One and Believe. We'd had speed anthems like the Drop in Science remix, tunes like Retro. So we were doing okay. And the first I knew about it. Moving Shadow had phoned us one day and said, there's a film called Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. And when I heard that, I thought, oh, it's going to be a British farce, like, whoops, there goes my pajamas. And we didn't know anything about it. And a lot of people were using our music back then. We were doing video games and people were using it for like school videos. So many things were being used with our music that it was just another thing that happened. And they'd rung up and said, we've got no money, we're on the blag, you get paid when the film comes out. And we just said yes. And then the next thing we know, me and Jay are driving down a Seven Sisters Road, and there's a whole row of billboards, and there's Vinnie Jones with 2 shooters over his shoulders like that, lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels. And he goes, "Isn't that film? We had that tune in." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't know anything." And so we rung up Moving Shadow, and they're like, yeah, it's going to blow up. It's going to go mental. And we was like, happy days. And so obviously that brought Easy Rollers to a bigger audience. I mean, we were already well into Europe by then, but we became then sort of mainstream in Europe chart music, really. And that really helped the career. And we traveled all over the world for many years doing that.
So you know, I'm going to tell everyone the fact there. So you know, Alex don't live too far from me. I think it was about maybe 4 years back. Alex engineered, and I'm going to say co-wrote the tune with me. It's still on play. I haven't released it yet. It's still sitting there because I'm too scared of people doing what they need to do with it, and we know what the world's like now. So yeah, just a true fact. So Alex actually did engineer one of my tracks, sit in the studio with this legend. It's like, wow. We're going to go back now because now there's some remixes knocking about now with you've teamed up with Night Force, which is another legendary label. Like I've got stuff with me. So, you know, those guys, there was like, there's so many legendary labels back then, but you know, for you two to team up and do the remixes of like Hyper on Experience stuff, what was it like doing that?
Well, my main thing whenever I work with anyone, they have to be on a level that I can work with. That's what I look for. So when Christopher got in touch with me and we had a few chats, I thought, yes, I could do something for him. And obviously giving me a chance to make that sort of old hardcore jungle techno sound is an absolute dream. And now I'm kind of into the full swing. So working with him is really what brings me to Night Force. You know, I'm very happy with the way he runs his business. It's important to me. I like his politics. That's important to me. And I like the geezer himself. So all these things come together. So I'm happy to start negotiating with Moving Shadow about getting our stuff remixed and re-released. I don't know if you know, but there has never been an official remix of a Shadow tune that wasn't ever out on Shadow. So we really pushed all the boundaries with the Night Force package and everything. We really did. It was a negotiation that we did between the 3 of us. So yeah, I was very happy with that. I'm very happy to be working with people who are doing the right thing constantly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, doing all these remixes and stuff, because I see Aston have now brought out, you know, they're doing a whole Trip to the Moon stuff. I'm not going to get sidetracked that, but I think it's good that they're pushing stuff back again. Like you teaming up with people like Night Force and stuff, pushing that through again, because all I'm hearing at the moment is not on the jungle or drum and bass scene, all this and that, is a lot of remixed on top of remixes on top of remixes where you know, let's go back to the old school. People who missed out on that stuff, if the remixes are there, they're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's doing, so it's what I like, one of the business models, one of the things I like about Chris's business model is his reinvigoration of what's been before. So re-releasing old stuff, well, that's handy because a lot of people want it. Remixing it, well, that's handy because a lot of people will want that as well. But what he also does is takes the new school and allows them to remix the old school. So you've got a fresh injection of ideas and up to date. And of course, this new school are making old school at the same time, their version of it, which is phenomenal. And I hear what these people are doing, I'm like, damn, that's good, you know. So it's what he's doing. It's not just, it's going to be more than the sum of his parts. I think Night Force is helping and leading the way in creating a new scene for a new punter. You know, I've done gigs where the crowd's been predominantly in their 20s, and there's no way they were there back in '94. So forget about it. So this is a new crowd with an interest in the old school.
And you know what, you hit the nail on the head there, because I see there's so many band camps of people repressing vinyl because these young cats weren't there at the beginning of the scene. So to get your hands on something is like, I've got this now. You know what I mean? It's there. So there's nothing wrong with that wheel turning with everyone repressing stuff, because if it means that everyone missed out on it, and these artists need the money as well.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So
exploitation of rights. Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you've got the time to do this, and it's not just about the money. Let's be fair. Remember, it's politics. Because there's
no,
not bucket loads. I couldn't stop doing studio work and the other things I do to just concentrate on hardcore. That's not going to happen. So really,
no.
it's a project for me and for everyone else. But you know, who knows? Yes, it is good, and everyone has access to it. And you know, this new breed of people making it and wanting access to it, they're going to be the ones that are fueling it. And you know, old school has come back quite a few times over the last sort of 20 years. You know, and maybe you could argue that hardcore never died. But now it's coming back with a new generation, the children who grew up listening to their parents listening to hardcore. You know, that's who we've got now as customers.
Yeah, I mean, so moving on from that, Field of Fury. Now, Chill Records, I've got that tune here. The Field of Fury EP, He Never Lost His Hardcore. That's a very good EP for me. Yeah. You know, a lot of the Chill stuff on Chill Records was, you know, the Terminator, I Need Your Loving. You know, the list goes on that label. And if people don't know about that, you need to go on YouTube, that stuff, you know. So how comes you're on the remix of that?
I'm kind of like the in-house remix of a Night Force. I think I've done 6 in the last year. What happens is they need to promote a product. The product is the re-release of NRG stuff. They re-release it with remastered versions, remixes, and new material. So that's this big package, and I'm part of that. So I'll do a remix, and that needs to be done. It needs to be a big playable tune. But I'm not just done. I've done T&O Project and a plethora of others. I can't remember any of them. I've done so many. It's just like there's days, like I'm a walking zombie remixer. I've done so many, but I love it. I love it. It's on the desk now. It's what I'm working on. So, but yeah, so it's good fun. Carry on, Martin.
No. Sorry. So hold on, because I'm just saying the light bulb's just gone on. So hold on. So Night Force was they was NRG, was they?
I couldn't tell you that because I know very little about the old school. Cause I was there, but I don't remember. What Chris is doing at Night Force is re-releasing packages from other labels and his own. So he's working with other people, and he might not be releasing it. He might be working for someone else, but he acts as a broker, and he uses it. It's quite complicated, Martin. But he's now consulting to other labels, and he's using me as well as other artists to do remixes and put together packages. So the business model for Chris is put something together that you must have and sell it for a higher value because you're doing fewer units. It's not like back in the day when a shit tune did 2,000 units. You know, you've got to struggle to do 500 or 600 now.
You know what? I need to contact him to get him on here for an interview.
You should do. Yeah,
I don't know if he would. I don't know if you can have a word with him, Alex. If you can, would be great, because you know, as I say, legendary. I've got loads of Night Force stuff here. What you need to do is you need to get on the remix of the Terminator on what NRG done. That's such a good song as well.
I think I had the option of doing that. I did have the option of doing that, but I got sent all the NRG. Listen, the problem with the old NRG tunes is that none of the samples are available. So when they came to me, they said, "What do you need, Alex?" I said, "Well, just get me the vocals for Feel the Fury, and then I'll just make all the other sounds myself." So that's what I've done. And it's sitting right there, but I've only just started it. So when Terminator didn't have any of the sounds, so what they have to do is go and find all the original samples, because everything's made out of samples, and then go from there. So that's why I chose this one over Terminator. I just thought, and you know, I've got to catch a vibe as well, Martin. I actually turn down quite a few remixes because if I can't feel it, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Unless I can come in here and think, right, I'm going to do this with this and I'm going to do that. I'm just not feeling it. So yeah.
I mean, you got to go with your gut instinct of what you're going to do, because if you don't, you ain't going to get nowhere. Do you know what I mean? So agreed. I get that.
Yeah.
I like that top. I need one of those tops, Alex.
This one here, man. Let's check out that, honey.
Right. Best track you've ever made?
I would say it's RS 2000. That's my favourite one.
Right. Okay.
My favourite. That was that was right at the peak when we were doing loads of stuff with musicians. All the brass was done by one guy who just kept layering it over and over. It was amazing. And the bass line was done by a guy called Lee Bracey. Flute, no, not flute. I can't remember. Anyway, it was so much fun to do. And we took a lot of ideas from the Andy C remix of Tough at the Top. Remember that? He did that mental remix for about 8 minutes. And the way he'd done his arrangement, and we took those ideas and put them into this RS2000. And RS2000 was an absolute mess. And I mean, when we were working on it, we had this awful beat that we sampled off a dub plate. It was terrible. And then we spent weeks working on it. And then suddenly we hit on this idea of stripping it back and making it a bit more like concentrating on that bass line and making the arrangement different, which we did. And it came out very, very well. And I'm really happy with it. All the little filter, those bridges that we did between the bass line, they were so much and so instrumental in what I did that followed that. We echoed back to the RS2000 arrangement.
That's mental, mate. So obviously you're working on Field of Fury. Is there any other stuff that you're working on with that, or is that just the main one at the moment?
No, what it is that I work on whatever I feel like working on.
Right.
And I'm working on that today because it's an easy in, easy out job, you know, remixing. But I'm working on some new Easy Rollers EPs. They'll be out hopefully after the summer of next year. I've had loads of musicians in, bought a load of equipment for making the sounds and stuff. So there's a lot, and it's going to be that original Easy Rollers sound like RS2000 Top at the Top, you know, the Weekend World album. I'm going to do more stuff like that. I've had loads of people in doing stuff for me. And I'm really enjoying it. That's what I want to do with drum and bass. You know, I love what people are doing now, but it's not what I want to do. I want to do that original thing that first got us big as Easy Rollers. And that's the thing I like the most.
See, this is the thing as well, guys. You know, like Alex Drill Hill, he don't only do drum and bass and stuff. He has live musicians in there and stuff. So
so I run a recording studio.
Yeah. So he's like a proper one, not.
No, proper one, yeah, not a Mickey Mouse one. There's no Disney characters here, apart from that one up there. No, I do. So I've got a multi-room recording studio in the Beccles, the town where I live. You're looking at some of it there. I've got a 32-channel mixer and a bunch of outboards, and there's more rooms through there. I've got 3 rooms through there, and they all come through to this room here. And I do bands. I can do full bands playing with isolation, all bashing away in the live room. I love it.
So is that the 32-channel mixer that nearly killed both of us when we was trying to lift it?
No, that was the 40-channel one. It was too big. Get this, I sacked it in the end. Can you believe it? It was too big, and I didn't like the sound of the speakers splashing against the deck. So what I've done now is you can't see it. Hang on. I don't know if you can see that, but I've got the desk there behind the mixer. And the speakers are freestanding. They're a good 3 or 4 feet off the wall, and the whole wall is a bass trap. The whole wall is front and back. It's quite a crazy room, actually. It's sweet as. But yeah.
So you dragged me all the way down to Kent to lift up that thing. Give me 4 hernias, and they're not even using it.
No, I skipped the frame. I took all the bits out of it because I needed the bits, and I put it outside with scrap tape me, and someone took it away. Mate, I tried. You've got to try these things. You've got to try this. You don't know until you found out. And it turned out I didn't like the sound of a massive desk with speakers splashing on it. The sound phases off the desk, and it was quite unbearable. So now I've got them freestanding, and that sounds so much better.
Yeah. Right, you know what? I'm going to end up on this note, mate, because I'm not going to keep you much longer. I need to get back to you. I need to get back to you and do some stuff when you're free and work on something else.
Cool.
Right, I'm going to say, right, thanks, Alex, for coming on short notice because you know, I think it was only a week or something, and me delaying the time. Got to big you up, man, because you are a legend. And you know what? I feel for me, when I contact you to come to the studio, you're like, yeah, fine. You didn't fob me off, and you know, so and so. If you ask some people, some days they don't want to know. So for someone that's like Hypon Experience / Easy Rollers, he's been in film, he's done this and that. For someone to help me out
Yeah.
You know, that's given someone a sort of lift up the ladder. Absolutely. So,
thank you
Alex,
very much.
Thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for like having a little talk and stuff. I hope everyone will have enjoyed it. I will give you a bell over the next couple of weeks, or maybe after the new year, to work on something different.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much for coming on, Alex. Big yourself up, mate. Legendary. Big up, Drill Hall.
Thank you very much, Martin. You stay well, mate. Nice speaking to you.
And you, Alex. Thank you, mate.
Bye.